welcome back to another instalment of Lindzi Illuminates It. And this month I am discussing internal systems. I have been so excited about covering this topic. What do I mean by internal systems? We are blessed with everything that we need within us. We've also been disconnected from these internal systems since birth, since a young age. And that's because our parents have quite often gone through that disconnection and their parents have. So it's a continued cycle that hopefully our generation, these generations, are starting to break those cycles a little bit. And it's sharing information like this that can be really, really helpful in breaking those cycles. So one of the internal systems that I want to talk about is your intuition. You are naturally blessed with an internal feeling system that tells you if something is right, if something is wrong, what you should do next. And again, we've been very disconnected from this. We've been taught to look to somebody above us, the hierarchy, look to somebody in charge to tell us what to do, rather than sitting and listening within and searching within for those answers. So when it comes to your intuition, there's a couple of really simple ways that you can test it. One of them for me that I do is, say if I've got two options of how to get somewhere, whether it's walking or whether it's in the car. Sometimes I play those out just slightly. I think, oh, are you going to go with option A or option B? And I just get this slight kind of tug in my stomach to one of those options, whichever one I should choose. That is your intuition trying to guide you. And some of us will be way more naturally in tune with our intuition than others and already using our intuition. For some of you, you might be hearing this and it's like either a light bulb moment or you're just thinking, what on earth is she going on about? But that is basically the aim of this topic, is to remind us that we have got this internal system, this internal guidance system, and we've been taught not to rely on it. And we should be turning back to it and relying on it. When it comes to intuition or intuitive guidance, it's thought to be a combination of things. Some people will believe that it's a spirit or spiritual kind of influence, and that you're being fed that information, whether it's by your guides, your spirit guides, or by a higher conscience. Some people might claim that it's experience, that you've experienced things like that in the past and your brain has stored that information, so it's giving you almost like odds, statistical odds of, well, when I go back to that root option of option A and option B, if my brain, without you consciously knowing that you've remembered this information, but your brain might be weighing up how many times you've hit traffic on A and how many times you have B, and giving you a kind of an answer depending on that. But I believe that it's a combination of everything. I do fully get behind the idea that all of us have got intuition. And, we talk about a gut feeling. We're starting to understand now that the brain and the gut is totally connected, that what goes on in our gut is just as important as what goes on up here in our brain, in our head. And that gut feeling is definitely linked to intuition and internal systems that's there to keep us safe and is there to guide us. So the other thing it's kind of linked to is energy. When you walk into a room and you can sense that the energy is slightly off, or when you first meet somebody and you can tell immediately that you really like them or that you're not going to get along, that is your ability to sense that energy and be able to weigh that energy up, and your energy getting involved with theirs, and working out if it's aligned, if it's on the same frequency. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, these Lindzi Illuminates It videos are all about planting those seeds of thoughts and getting you thinking. If you've never thought about intuition, intuitive guidance, energy, the unseen forces, now is your time to start doing that research, because this is something that we're all blessed with. Our internal systems exist. Another way that you can kind of test this is think of your internal dialogue, the voice that might answer you, or how do you make a decision. So if you say a statement that you really disagree with, so for me, it might be, I think it's okay to kick a dog. Now, straight away, my internal dialogue is arguing with that. It's like, no, you don't know. that is a good way of connecting with your inner voice and really being able to think about, okay, have I got one? Because not everybody will have a very clear inner dialogue. Some people don't have that kind of guiding voice, and some people have got multiple, like me, which is very common in ADHD, to have lots and lots of voices and not really be able to tell which one's in charge. So maybe for us it's even more important to do these little tricks of just trying to get in touch with the voices within us and work out what they're trying to tell us. When they argue, you know, what are they trying to warn us about? What are they trying to help us to do? It's worth just mentioning at this point about intrusive voices. Sometimes I get voices that, like, say if I'm walking along and there's a bus coming down the road, it's like, go on, step out. What would happen if you stepped out in front of the bus? It's called an intrusive voice, and again, it's really common in ADHD. But I know the difference between these voices because I've done that inner work, and that's what I'm encouraging you to do when you listen to these installments for Lindzi Illuminates It. Do your own research, discover about yourself, get to know yourself, what's right for you, and yeah, hopefully these videos can start that little journey for you. Finally then, another part that's wrapped up inside of all of this, your intuitive guidance, your inner dialogue, your energy, the energy that you give off and the energy that you can sense from others, is our instinct. It's a survival mode. Have you ever had that moment where you just know something's gonna happen, and then it happens, something's gonna go wrong? Quite often before extreme events, somebody claims they just got this feeling and they've managed to jump out of the way just in time, and that's like your instinct or your intuition kicking in. So the thing to be aware of is these internal systems being hijacked and then used against you. I've spoken about how important it is to recognize them, to nurture them, strengthen them, get to know them, start to rely on them, start to use them again, because they might be dormant. And this is how they get hijacked and used against us, because we get tricked through lots of media manipulation, being bombarded with information about certain things. We get tricked into our instincts kicking off at certain mentions of something or certain news stories. And that can leave us feeling quite trapped. Now, if you've been taught to turn to other people for information and for guidance instead of listening to yourself, then you can end up finding yourself in a really unhappy place and doing things that isn't right for you, and suddenly waking up in life and realizing you're not where you want to be because you've followed the rules of other people, you've listened to other people's voices instead of your own. Now, I'm not saying that we should all just start doing exactly what we want when we want, although that probably would be nice. But it's just about being able to weigh up your inner thoughts and your inner guidance. What do you think's right in comparison to what somebody else is saying? And the more that you do this, the more that you get to know your own inner systems, internal systems, the more you'll feel like you can rely on them and turn to them for support. Now, just one final thing is, if you are into intuition and things like that, there are what we call divination tools. So tarot cards, pendulums, things like this. They're not necessarily designed to give you some magical answers. They're just designed to channel the answers that you already know into a physical way of seeing it. So with our human experience, we kind of need to see it to believe it sometimes. Just having that feeling isn't enough. So for example, with a pendulum, it swings one way for yes and another way for no. And you ask it questions and it swings to yes or to no. Now, you could just ask yourself that question and your body will tell you straight away whether it's a yes or whether it's a no. But quite often we need proof, we need more than that. And that's all that these divination tools are for. So hopefully, again, I've just planted some seeds, got you to really think about our internal systems. And like I say, as always, do your own research. You can go onto our shop, www.adifferenthumandesign.co.uk, and you can download the free sheets that supplement these videos. Thank you for watching.